license report. And so what you'll see when you're here is that you can see anything that has been filed, and if they've already been filed, you'll be able to view or amend, and I'll talk about amend in just a little bit. You can save a draft, and for purposes of this demonstration, I did save a draft. So when it's in draft status, you can just choose to continue your draft. It will start you from the beginning so you can review everything you've selected. These fields, once you've saved your draft, are view only for the year and the quarter, just to remind you of which QLR you're working on. So then as you are going to be filling out your information, you would just fill in your numbers just like you do today. The form just looks a little different. And then as you fill in each section and enter some numbers, before you can move forward or even save your draft, you have to request it to calculate the numbers for you. And this just takes a minute because it has to go see what the proper rates are for the time period you're filing, and then perform the calculations.
And we're also demonstrating from a test environment, which is slower than it will be once we go live.
The other thing I would mention is that for purposes of this demonstration, this licensee has both an active manufacturer license and a punchboard pull tab. That isn't what we would generally see, but we wanted to be able to demonstrate a couple different types of licenses on the QLR form. So we assigned this licensing pair for those purposes. So once it's performed the calculation, it's going to now display a couple new sections on this form that weren't here before. In this case, you see the gross gambling receipts summary here at the bottom, where it's going to display the numbers that you reported in the sales to operator, and then also the total sales to distributors. Total that up, show you the rate that it's applying, and then display the calculation for the gross gambling receipts that you reported here. Then below that is a summary where it's going to show you a summary of the fee for this gambling activity type. And then this is showing you what the fee would be for quarter 1. When you're filing for future quarters, it's also going to show you what your fee was for the prior quarters, to help display how it's comparing what you've already reported and paid to what your maximum annual license fee is. So here, for purposes of the demonstration, the maximum annual license fee is $40,000. It's showing that the calculated fee right now is $167,000, but the payments already received is the base fee. So there's actually nothing due for this quarter for this gambling activity. So then you say the next. And so then you fill out information for your next license type when you have multiple licenses. And then you would report any prizes that you had paid if you're in an area that's subject to local gambling tax, and then you're over and short. And then the same on this, you would calculate the QLF for this gambling activity type.
And so even though I demonstrated, and you're demonstrating a commercial QLR, and I demonstrated a commercial license application, obviously for nonprofit applicants, for if it was a raffle activity or if I are applying for a raffle, both of those are available through my account and are very similar, very, very similar processes.
Yeah, so the process would be the same. The system's going to look at what kind of organization you are, nonprofit, was Jennifer's question. And then display on your QLR, it would know if that license type was active for that period, if you had an active license for the period, and ask you to complete that, even if it were 0. And because it knows if you're a nonprofit or commercial or, a vendor, it's going to display and apply the appropriate rates and maximum fees for the type of license you have and the type of organization you are. So in this case, it's completed the calculation for punchboard pull tab. So we see that it calculated that the quarterly license fee was $2,280. And the 770 is the base fee that was paid. So the actual amount due is 1,510 because it's giving credit for that base fee. So at this point, you could save it next and, sorry if I'm making you seasick with the scrolling, but when you save it next, it's gonna take you to the summary page. So that's what I'd like to show you. So on this page, for each license type that you have, it's going to show you a summary. And when you have in future quarters, it would show you the summary for all of the quarters. So it's going to show you an accumulation of what you've reported to again show you how much you've paid on your license year and compare it to the maximum due. So it's going to do that for each license type. And then at the very bottom of this summary section, it will show you each license type, the amount due for the quarter, and then give you a total amount due. Now, at this point, you can either, again, click next and submit your QLR, or you could save your draft and come back later. Part of the QLR filing is still under development. So what will be available that isn't yet is printing a draft. So if you are someone that you need to print a draft and have somebody review it before you finalize the filing, that will be an option. It will not be a print button. It will be a save a draft, and it'll provide a PDF that you can save and then either email or print or whatever. But it will be a PDF of your form that you can then use however you need to for your organization. So as long as this is in draft status, it will show, just like it did when I started this, that it's a draft on the QLR dashboard that you can then come back and file to at a later time. So at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and submit this. If you have any comments, you can enter them here. This is most often used if we have someone that's filing an amendment because they made an error. They'll put a note in here about why, that, oh, I reported the wrong quarter, or I forgot to report, my local tax or whatever. So, but this is available for comments for the filing. So then after that's all filled out, I'm going to submit this, and it's going to make sure I want to. And then again, it's going to take a minute. So then when that's filed, we're going to return to the dashboard. And you can see that it is now submitted with the date. And again, the functionality for printing the filed form isn't yet here, but it will be. But right now you could view it, and then also you could amend it if you realize that you had made an error. The other thing is that you can file ahead of time. So if you're an organization like a nonprofit that you only hold one raffle a year, you've already held your raffle, you can absolutely file your QLRs for the rest of the year. You do have to submit them in order. You cannot submit a quarter 3 unless you've submitted a quarter 2, and it will give you that error message. So for example, if I came in and I said, I want to file my quarter 3, it'll display the information. But when I attempt to do that, it's going to say that I can't because you need to go file the previous quarter. The same thing would happen if you try and file a QLR that's already been submitted. It's going to tell you that it was already filed, and the proper way to do that is actually to find it in your list of submitted QLRs and file an amendment. So any questions on filing?
I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you mentioned it, but they do receive an email confirmation once they filed.
Yes, thank you. So yes, when you file your QLR, you will receive a confirmation of filing and or if payment is due. So you'll get a confirmation and it'll say that you filed, and if a payment is due, it'll have that information. So thank you.
Yeah. We do have a couple questions that are not related to QLRs. The first one is, if messages are sent through the secure system, is there a way to save those communications to our computers? We're big fans of paper trails and save most email communications with our licensing contacts in case they're needed for future reference.
Okay. I will have to follow up.
Yes. Okay. We will follow up on that one. And I should mention too, from all of the questions that are asked today, we're going to be updating the frequently asked questions that we have posted on our website. I'll also be providing that link at the end. But you guys are asking some great questions, and this exactly is what we wanted to hear, was what you guys wonder about, so we can provide you those answers so that you're ready. The next question is, for companies that may have multiple entities, will they all show under one tab, or will they show very similar to how they are now at Saw My Account?
So each entity can have its own My Account. So if there's ownership, if there's at the operating level, at the license level, it's a legal organization, then they can establish a My Account for the licensed entity. And then if there is an ownership company above that, they can have their own separate My Account that can then be linked. And again, that would be depending on structure, and all information can go through that operating entity. But if there is a need for a separation and privacy between ownership structures, then that My Account could be directly communicating with our staff, and then we will know that they are linked, and we could link them, or
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's also a capability where someone who may work for multiple organizations can switch accounts to do different work.
yes, if they have access to, if they're sister organizations, or they're a licensed person or an unlicensed person that should have access to both accounts, yes, they can have access to different My Accounts.
I can actually just briefly show kind of what that looks like.
Great.
So, because we've been testing, I'm linked to a lot of different organizations. And so if I click on my name and I choose switch profile, it shows me all of the organizations that I am linked to and what my role is with them. And if I wanted to switch, I don't have to sign out and sign back in. I just have to pick which organization I want to switch to. So that's how that would work. So you are also allowed multiple, different roles for different organizations.
And again, that would be controlled by the super user of that particular organization. And so if the super user is granted another user, or they're a super user in multiple organizations, then they would be identified as being whatever that role is, and they would have access to those different My Accounts.
Okay. We got a question, will there be another training meeting once this goes live, or is this the only training? This is actually not training. This is a demonstration, and we're still in development and in testing. So that's why you're seeing some things as screenshots and some things in the system. We're still literally building the airplane. So stay tuned. We will be providing full training early next year. And again, we'll share more information about that at the end. And we'll also share this slide deck, which has the timeline on there as well. Let's see, we've got something in the chat here. If multiple users have access to the site from one company, will any confidential employee information be able to be viewed or downloaded once it's uploaded? For example, a financial statement is uploaded for an executive. Once it's submitted, can someone else view it? Hopefully, no.
So it depends on what role. So if somebody has a role to submit license applications, then they would have access to see details of license applications. So if there's somebody that should not be in that role, then they wouldn't have access, again, like a QLR filer would not have access to the details of a license application.
Okay. And I'm also replying in chat that we will be providing a link to this recording as well as the slide deck to you after the meeting. Okay, I think that's all the questions.